There will be weeks where I have like all of my days journaled out, and then there will be weeks where I have 2 days.
It's been hard for me to read and pray recently. Bro, what are you laughing at?
I just think it's funny.
It's another week, and you know what that means? Another episode of... What are you laughing at,
The
bro?
way you're talking.
Okay. Oh, you want me to restart?
No, it's great.
Okay.
I just laughed.
Okay. Well, welcome back to the King of Hearts podcast. Bro, what are you laughing
I
at?
just think it's funny.
Okay.
Welcome back.
It's another late night in the King of Hearts household. I said that before.
You have.
Do you like that?
I don't care.
So yeah, it's another late night, but we're still here to record. And tonight we have a very personal topic.
Yeah.
Kind of. We're talking about ruts and how to get out of ruts. And
What gave us the inspiration?
Oh, no, okay.
Why don't you tell the story?
Oh, okay. So basically the last
I think it's been 5.
5 what?
I think it's been the last 5 weeks. Maybe 6.
6 weeks what?
Say it.
You think I've been in a spiritual rut for the last 6 weeks?
I think you. So say the story. I'm sorry.
What story are you talking about?
How you've missed church service on Sunday. I think it's been 5 or 6 weeks now.
Okay. So the last few weeks, I'll say few, I haven't been making it to church on Sunday mornings. Okay, it sounds bad. So no, I go to church. I just miss like the actual service. I end up going to serve the students, like the high schoolers, but I miss the actual like service. Yeah, it has been a while. Wow.
Yeah.
And it really is like I just wake up and I'm just tired, and I'm like, and you would come and like wake me up and like knock on my door or shake me or something, and I'll be like no, and I'll just go back to sleep. But yeah, I mean,
this Sunday was more intense too. You said, "Wake me up in the morning," and I did. And I like shook you.
Okay, well,
knocked on the door, and you just were like, "Yeah, I can't do it." And you were awake, and it was an hour before I left, and you just.
It was not.
Yes, it was. I woke you up at 7:45.
Okay, well, that's your problem.
And I left at 8:55.
You can't wake me up before 8 and be like, "Get ready."
I was thinking like it'd give you enough time to like, hit the snooze button in your mind for like 15 minutes, and then you finally wake up. But you didn't.
I did. I hit the snooze button.
So I left at 8:45, and you showed up to church at 11:35.
You left at 8:45?
No, sorry. I left at 8:55, and you showed up at 11:35.
See, okay, that's my problem. You just go to church too early. Just go go like 20 minutes later, and I will be there with you. It is.
It's not. But I will give you this. It was a daylight saving or daylight springtime, whatever it is. Is it savings time? Because it's not saving time. It's like moving time forward.
It's spring forward.
Spring forward. Okay. So yeah, you had that. So that was going against you. But
yeah, whatever. So yeah, I haven't. Sorry, what does that mean?
What? No,
nothing.
It's not. You're in a rut. I don't expect. I expect you to be sweet.
So we looked up the definition of rut, and it basically said that you're in a like consistent pattern of like not. You're in a consistent pattern of bad habits or
like
something
unproductive
like that.
habits.
Yeah.
That it's hard to get out of.
Yeah. So I'm calling what I'm in right now a spiritual rut. But the thing is, like, when I've been missing church service, except for this last week or maybe 2 weeks,
yeah.
I feel like I wasn't in like a bad place spiritually. So maybe it is a little bit. Maybe it's not a spiritual rut. Maybe it is just like a bad habit. I don't know. What do you think?
I think a rut is a bad habit, honestly.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe I'm trying to over spiritualize it. Maybe I'm just lazy on Sunday mornings.
Like, yeah, laziness is a big reason for ruts too. Like, honestly, that's probably the main reason. Like for me, one of my biggest ruts when we moved down here was my sleep schedule. Like I could not get 8 hours of sleep to save my life. I could not do it. It's been a little better the past week, even though I've had more school. But it's still like at a place where I need to stop getting like 6 and then 10. I need to like just meet in the middle.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, I think you're still in that rut.
Yeah.
Because if if someone calls you when you're about to go to bed, you don't have the discipline to say, you know what, I need to sleep, but I need to sleep and I can't answer this person.
Yeah.
So
No, that happened the other day. Yeah, you're right.
yep.
But it
So
was Brent though, so like I feel like I had to answer. But either way, I needed my sleep, and I still only got like 5 hours that night because I was on the phone.
exactly. So yeah. So I guess we're both in our own little ruts. I didn't really think about what you could be going through.
Right.
So
I think too, there's a difference between seeking perfection in everything that you do and being in a rut. I think like it's okay if you mess up every now and then. I don't think that means you're in a rut. I think the rut comes in when you're like voluntarily doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing because you're lazy. I think it's more of an apathy thing than it is just like messing up every now and then. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
It's like, for example, let's say like cuss words. I think a rut in using bad language would be saying them over and over again and like feeling bad about them, but not caring. It's like a lack of care. But just messing up would be like, oh, it slipped. I need to do better next time. Does that make sense?
yeah.
That would be my mindset with it, I think.
Okay.
It's like that would be like for me, my sleep schedule, like for a lot of the time is, oh, I know I need to get more sleep, but also I'm not willing to change my habits to fix it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, when you describe something like that as a rut, I guess it kind of opens the door up to a lot of things that people could be going through. So like reading, I would say that I'm in a rut for that. So I guess when I was saying spiritual rut earlier, since I didn't really get into this, I was kind of referencing more of my disciplines. Like other than going to church, obviously, it's been hard for me to read and pray recently. I don't know exactly why. I think it could be like is influx a word?
It is. I don't know what it means.
I don't know either. I'll go with that. We'll see if that works. But yeah, it's just a lot of stress coming in from. Honestly, maybe it's just too many things that I'm trying to take on. But also, like, there's been situations that have been going on recently that have been stressful too. So I guess it's just a lot of things. But I think it's no excuse for me not to be reading and praying because I know that those are the things that will help me get out of the stress and anxiety that I've been living in. So no excuses on my end.
So why is missing a couple of days of reading or not praying like you should, why is that having an impact on you where you know you need to get back into that past just it's a discipline I need to have?
Well, I mean, if we think about what we're supposed to be doing as Christians, it talks about this a lot in James, like not living in our sin. I think that reading and praying are definitely things that will help us break out of those bad habits of sin, because it's like the more time you spend with someone, the more that you'll become like them. And I think
It's true.
For reading and praying, I think those are the things that kind of connect us with God more. So if we're not doing those disciplines, I think that I know that there's going to be a better chance of sin coming back in or, just coming in. So
I'm in Revelation right now, and it actually talked about that. It talked about the Lord's presence and how the Lord's presence was like a shelter, if that makes sense. So the more that you're in God's presence, the more that you're going to have that shelter on you. And like we've seen this, like think of a person that you've seen before or you've been in contact with where you can just tell that they're with God all the time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You can tell that they've got just the Spirit all over them and inside of them. Mm-hmm. So I would say that the longer you're with God, the more deep that it is, the more, I guess, fruitful that it is. You're going to have more of the spiritual shelter on you as you walk through your day-to-day life. And that's something that I want. I want to be in God's presence so much to where not just people see the Spirit on me, but I'm more prone not to have bad thoughts, not to think about weird things because God's with me and He's my helmet of salvation. So I think that's crazy that you said that because I literally read that like 3 hours ago about how God's presence is our shelter.
Okay, so I actually want to ask you a question. Have you seen like a difference in me over the last like week and a half, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
In what way? What are ways?
Being straight up, you've been more closed off. It's been harder to get to you. I think we talked about this on a podcast a while ago, but when you go through these ruts, it's a lot harder to get information from you. So like you have something that you need to admit and I have to like kind of drag it out of you, which is not fun. But that's had to happen a couple times. So sometimes had to just give up, be like, okay, he'll tell me when he tells me, it's okay. So that's one thing. You're a lot more closed off and reserved. I think that you're a lot less friendly to be around. I think that's one thing. You're a lot more annoying.
Okay.
Which, that's annoying.
I have a question. Am I still in that phase right now?
Yes.
So I'm still...
You're in the rut. Hopefully this podcast will help that be gone, but
Be gone, rut.
So you're a lot more annoying.
Wow.
I think you're definitely more quiet. I can tell something's wrong with you. I don't know if it's just like because I know you or it's like a spiritual thing, but whenever I can tell that you've either done something wrong or that something's like messed up with you, you are just like, you don't make eye contact. You're completely quiet and you don't look at me like at all. Like you're just off on your own. So yes, I've been able to tell that a lot the last 2 weeks. So I'll ask you the same question. What do I do when I'm in that phase? How do I act different? Can't just call you out.
When you're in a rut?
Yeah. What do I do that's different?
I mean, there's a difference between a rut and I think and something being wrong. So I don't really know because I don't know what type of ruts you're in other than sleeping.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to answer that.
Sometimes I'll be in a phase where I'm like very distracted easily. I remember you said it when we were at the movies a couple weeks ago. I was like checking my text like as we were at the theater and you're like, hey bro, like what are you doing? And yeah, it kind of like made you sad the rest of the time at the theater too. So like that's one thing that I think leads me to get it into ruts is being distracted. And also because of my sleep schedule problems, I get into reading like bad reading habits. So I like don't read, I don't pray, I don't like journal some nights. Like there will be weeks where I have like all of my days journaled out, and then there will be weeks where I have 2 days. And I'll go in this like 4-day rut where I go to bed late and I wake up early and I don't have time to write. So
I think for you, like to know when you're kind of in a rut, it's really just the way that you communicate.
Okay.
You seem a lot more irritated.
Yeah.
You'll smile less.
Yeah.
You just seem overall like less joyful. So yeah, I'd say those are some of the things for you.
Do you think, I personally don't think you hide it well at all. When something's wrong with you, you hide it like bad. Like it's easy to tell when something's wrong. Do you think that's the same for me? Do you think I hide ruts well, or do you think, because that's probably a problem if that's the case, or do you think I'm very different?
I don't think you hide ruts well. No, you're not good at hiding things at all.
Okay. Okay.
Like I can tell when you have something that you're not saying. Sometimes I won't always know exactly what it is, but like I'll know that there's something. I'm not the type of person to be like, "Hey, bro, I know something's wrong. Like, tell me."
Yeah.
I'll just like.
You can do that. You have full permission to do that if you want. Because I need to open up about like stuff like that if I'm going through a rut. Because if I don't tell anybody, I'm just gonna beat myself up over it. So.
Yeah, I guess so. Sometimes I feel like if I were to ask you about those things, I don't know if you would say anything.
We've been through this though, where you've asked me a question and I've denied it and I've like moved on, and then I'll circle back like an hour later and I'll tell you what actually happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like
no,
sometimes
that's a
I'm
problem.
not open in the moment.
Yeah, or like this is just funny. Like sometimes I know something about you and you'll deny it, and then like a month later it'll turn out it was actually true the whole time. And then you make me look like an idiot in front of people for claiming something.
In front of people?
Yeah, anyways, no, it's okay. But no, it's
a lot
okay.
of it is in-house for the record, but
yeah.
Cuz like I don't want to put on a facade every time I'm in a rut. That's not fair. And that's not like, I feel like people can't understand me if I'm always portrayed as the same person everywhere I go. Does that make sense? Like you don't want to be two-faced, but at the same time, you should be able to tell when I'm not having a good day. I think that's a sign of a true friend when you're not just putting on a face every time you're together.
Yeah.
You know? Like I should be able to tell you, hey, I'm in a rut right now and I need to get out of it. And I think that takes a lot of vulnerability and honesty to actually say that.
The Bible definitely talks a lot about like the importance of being open and like telling each other things and bearing one another's burdens. What's like an example from the Bible of that happening?
The one that I think of is David from the Old Testament, and this has to do with one of my favorite Psalms, Psalm 51 in the Bible. And basically what David did is he committed adultery with Bathsheba and then went on to kill Uriah and place him on the front lines of the battlefield, so he died. And then David took Bathsheba to be his wife. She got pregnant, and for 8 months, I think it's 8, it may be 7 or 9, one of those, 7, 8, 9, something like that. And
7, 8, 9.
he did, yeah, something like that. And David didn't tell anyone. Like, no one knew about this, and he kept it all to himself. And Nathan the prophet heard a word from God that he had done this, went to call him out for it. David denied it at first, and then he just confessed everything. And that's where Psalm 51 was birthed, where it says, "Creating me a clean heart, O God, renew a steadfast spirit within me. Restore to me the joy of my salvation." That's a verse later. So like stuff like, and don't take your Holy Spirit from me. Don't take your Holy Spirit's anointing, because God had put the Holy Spirit's anointing on David many times, and he had done great works. So he didn't want that to be stripped from him just because of his sin. So that's an example of like, I can't even imagine the shame, the guilt that David experienced for those 8 months deep down without telling anyone. And then when it was finally dragged out of him, he just had this collapse moment where he was just like, "Oh my goodness, God, like restore to me this joy that I once had for my salvation." And I can't imagine being in that bad of a rut, because that is like, not to compare sin, but like that is bad what he did, and to hold on to it for that long. So that's just one example that I can think of.
I think I can relate to that a lot. I think for me, the big one is lust, just because that one's so much harder to talk about for me. I think for most people it is. It's kind of like a little bit weird to talk about with other people. But I noticed that it's something that if I don't talk to someone about, or like talk to you about it, or someone else, like I notice that it gets worse. And it also, I think deep down, it's just like this constant like weight on me. Like I have to talk to someone about it. So I think I relate to that in that way.
Describe what you mean by weight on you.
Weight, like a heaviness. It's like it's when you know that there's something you need to do, but you just don't want to do it. Yeah, that's kind of the weight.
That's the spiritual aspect. Does it actually weigh you down? Like, do you feel like a sinking feeling in your chest? Does that make sense?
Are you trying to get me to say that?
No.
Oh, I mean, I guess.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I've experienced, and like from talking to people when they don't open up about something for a while, it's like it's a spiritual thing, but it's like a physical weight is pulling you down, like pulling your soul down into your stomach to a point where like I can't sit here and not tell you. Does that make sense? And I think that's been dictated a lot recently. Like if you ever struggle with something, I don't think you can go like 2 or 3 days without saying something about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel like I can't do that anymore, just because I know where that will, where I'll end up if that happens. So yeah.
As far as the rut of lust goes, do you think it's more the fact that you're dealing with the lustful temptation, or the fact that the rut comes from not opening up about it? What do you think you feel the heaviness more from? The actual sin, or I guess the discretion?
I don't know. That's a hard question. I feel like the answer should be the sin.
Maybe. I think it depends for different people. That's why I wanted to know for you what it was.
I think the answer should be sin, but I don't know if that's the answer for me. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What about for you when you struggled, when that was something that you were battling a lot?
When I first started struggling with it, I think I was exposed like 2nd grade. That was my first time ever being exposed to pornography. And then I dealt with the actual addiction from like 7th grade to like part of my senior year, of just like not telling anybody, of closing off, things like that. But once I hit junior year, that's where I started to open up more about it. So I think my rut was, until junior year, was the fact that I wasn't opening up about it. That's what was killing me, was my lack of vulnerability. But then my rut became the actual sin when I started being open about it. And then through that, that's where I was like, I got to get out of this rut of the sin in general. So then that's where I completely cut it out of my life. And I think that's normally my cycle with things is I struggle with the vulnerability. And then once I get to a point where I can be open with people, that's when I struggle with the sin itself. And then I just have to eliminate it from my life. That's my process. I don't know if that's just my personality or that's how normal people are with sin struggles, not just lust, but anything. That was my experience with the lustful temptations.
I like that you mentioned that because I think that, like, as of recently, I've started to kind of like cross over that line, I guess is a good way to say it, of like, not liking, how to say it's not liking the sin because I don't want to be vulnerable about it, to like actually hating the sin itself. I think I'm kind of getting to that point, just because I've been able to be more open with you about those struggles. So I think it's important that we talk about like how to not only like should we tell everyone all the ruts that we're having, but how to get out of them. So I'll start. I think that it really comes back down to your spiritual like disciplines. So the reading and the praying, of course. I think we mentioned that earlier, but I think that you can't overlook those things if you're stuck in a rut.
Yep, it's good.
Yeah. So, and honestly, if you're in a rut, it may be because you missed a day, and then you're just like, I already missed a day. Why should I do it today? I think that's how things start. Things start slow and small, and then they grow. So,
I like that. One guy that I really respect and I look up to, his name is Craig Rochelle, and Craig Rochelle is known as a guy that has deep discipline, like hard driven discipline. And he said on a podcast that he has to floss every day. He has to floss every day. And he has a bunch of other disciplines that he has, but that one distinguishes if he's going to have a discipline day where he's not going to have ruts or if he's not. Because flossing is something that is not convenient. It's not fun. It's adding on to cleaning your teeth, which some people feel like that's enough. So he's already taking that initiative to say, I'm going to do that one thing per day that's going to separate my actions from being non-disciplined to disciplined. For me, that's taking cold showers. It kind of signifies to me that I've got to be different in my disciplines. That's my thing. Some people want to do different things, but I think that's a good first step is becoming used to doing things that are uncomfortable in order to help your health. And once you do that, you realize, okay, this will easily translate into my spiritual health. And then you just do it. You just do it. So I think establishing those disciplines that aren't fun, but like working your mind to conquer your body and conquer your flesh on a daily is a good practice to have.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. And then I'll go on to the third one, which, we've mentioned this too. It's openness. So if you don't have like someone that you can open up to, then that needs to be something that you seek out. I feel like we've mentioned this like countless times. Yeah. The importance of just having accountability. So if you don't have someone that you're opening up to on a daily basis about your struggles, then you should try and seek something like that out. Maybe it's at your church, or it could be like a friend from school. The people that I talk to happen to be from both. So
it's a luxury to have.
It is.
And if you don't have like that best friend per se that you can open up with, find a mentor at church. Find somebody that you can look up to, because I'm willing to bet if you ask them, hey, can we like text like once every few days and just like be vulnerable about the things we're struggling with? I'm sure that would be something you can find. Maybe not in a head pastor, but like a college guy or a high school guy, like things like that. So yeah, definitely find those close group of friends that you can be vulnerable with, where they know that information's not going anywhere, and that'll change the way you look at disciplines. It'll actually make it kind of fun.
Yes. So, okay, sorry to get all excited, but one thing that me, you, and our friend Brent have been doing recently, by recently I mean like the last few months, is we've had like this app. I guess I'm not really talking to you, I'm talking to them. We have this app where it's called Photo Circle. I would highly recommend you guys do this. We have this app where we each take a 60-second video and we tell each other like what we read that day. and it's just like a thing that we do every day. I've missed a few days.
You're in a photo circle rut, I think.
I missed a few more days than them, but it's really fun. I would highly recommend you guys go download Photo Circle. We'll put a link. It's free. But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, you can just like record a video of like what you read that day. And they like the guys have it forever. It's like an archive. So
yeah. So that's made reading a little bit more fun because I get to see what you guys got out of your reading. And also we started off like a few months ago, or I don't even know. I think it was
mid-December.
No, I'm talking about when we started reading the same books.
Oh yeah. That was January. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We started in January like reading the same books. Which makes it even more cool because you get to see all the different perspectives from the same reading. But yeah,
we have a spinny wheel that we spin with 12 books, and we like pick one of them through the wheel. I'm telling you, man, for some reason, God works through the wheel generator because everything that we've read, I've needed to read. So I don't know what it is, but it's cool. Good podcast, man. It's been a good day. Not only did we have a good time doing this, even though it's late at night, but the Falcons signed Kirk Cousins today. Kirk Cousins is a Christian quarterback. He's top 10 in football, in my opinion, and the Falcons are back. So I'm pumped right now. It's going to be hard for me to sleep because I'm so excited for football season, but I've got till September. It's March Madness. It's the best time of year right now.
I'm sorry. This is not a sports podcast.
It should be.
We're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and end this episode, guys. Hopefully the video should like actually be up this week. We've had some problems recently. Like
why?
You always like
to be vulnerable.
You always like to point the finger. You always like to point the finger. What is wrong with you? No,
I should have reminded you to hit.
Stop. Why do you always have to do that? Why can't you just? Man. You are so.
You brought it up.
All right.
I mean, you want to tell them why? You want to tell them why they haven't had a video?
Because we've forgotten to click record, and then the episode, not the episode before that. What are you doing?
We use a strong word.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if we use the right pronoun.
Why do you always have to point the finger?
Wait, is we a pronoun?
What are you talking about?
I said we is not the right word.
I don't care.
I don't even know. It's so late.
Anyways, I'm just going to pretend that you aren't here. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of the King of Hearts King of Hearts podcast. We'll see you back next week, possibly in a new location. We'll see. Peace.